Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Absolute Resonance Part 16 based on novel. So let's start. After chasing away the irritant known as Loulan, Li Luo took the information and went back to his room, carefully poring over its contents. However, the more he read, the more attentive he became. He realized that a lot of the information was useful and legitimate. It seemed as though Loulan had indeed put in quite the effort. This was not a casual attempt to swindle the naive, but a true repository of knowledge. Of course, with regards to the information on Li Luo, other than him looking handsome, which he begrudgingly admitted was true, the rest was all false. His attention was then focused on the information regarding who was speculated to be the top 10 strongest individuals in this competition. First place, South Wind Academy, Lu Qing'e, upper 7th grade ice resonance. Suspected to be at the 9th seal stage. Beauty and strength coexist in this female. She has never lost a single battle in South Wind Academy. Second place, East Pool Academy, Shahuang, upper 7th grade lightning resonance. Suspected to be at the 9th seal stage. Likely the only person able to compete with Lu Qing'e. Has the potential to be number 1 in the final examinations. Third place, Dawn Academy, Xiong lower 7th grade fire resonance, 8th seal stage. An elite student nurtured with all of the resources at Dawn Academy's disposal. His strength is not to be underestimated. Fourth place, South Wind Academy, Song Yunfeng, lower 7th grade Crimson Eagle resonance, 8th seal stage. During South Wind Academy's preliminary examinations, he was victorious in all rounds save 2. One was a loss against Lu Qing'e and the other a draw against Li Luo. Fifth place, Dusklight Academy, Kaisu, lower 7th grade Poison Ivy resonance, 8th seal stage. Sixth place, Zenith Academy, Zhongfu, lower 7th grade Water resonance, 8th seal stage. Seventh place. Li Luo continued to scrutinize the entire list before sighing in admiration. If he had not read this, he would have still been in the dark, unaware of the Qianshu province's numerous crouching tigers and hidden dragons. However, this seemed reasonable in retrospect. The Qianshu province's numerous academies might not have foundations as deep as South Wind Academy, but they still possessed the ability to nurture an elite student or two. Even a blind cat would eventually catch a mouse, and their efforts might one day bear fruit and they might just obtain the top position if the stars aligned. If that happened, their academy's reputation would soar into the skies and all their efforts would bear fruit. Additionally, all of those contending for the top 10 positions were minimally at the 8th seal stage. There were no weaklings amongst them. It looks like entering the top 10 will be a challenge, Li Luo muttered as he rubbed his chin. He currently had 7th seal stage resonant power and was slightly weaker than those contenders. The bright side was his unique water-light resonance, which would provide him with certain advantages when push came to shove. If he had to face Song Yunfeng openly again, he would no longer have to resort to his previous methods of trickery and forcing things into a draw. In the top 10, Lu Qing'e and Shahuang were on a separate level of their own as they were potentially at the 9th seal stage. Both were exceptionally proficient in resonance arts and were likely to be the only two able to win first place. However, Li Luo was also temporarily uninterested in attaining first place. Why? He was simply not strong enough. He had a 6th grade water-light resonance, but those two possessed upper 7th grade resonances. Their backgrounds were also not to be scoffed at, ensuring that they had received ample resources not inferior to his own. Perhaps if the two of them were inanimate objects, he would be able to leapfrog and beat them. Furthermore, he wasn't Jiang Qing'e with a 9th grade light resonance, able to completely suppress them. Others wouldn't even dare to raise a finger against her. Even when Pei Hao wanted to find trouble, he had to wait till he had reached the late stage of the Earth Fiend stage. Yet even when faced with the early stage Jiang Qing'e, he found no advantage. From this example alone, one could clearly see how tyrannical a 9th grade light resonance was. Thus, Li Luo's current goal was to muddle into the top 10 positions of the final examinations. Securing a slot in the Astral Sage College would suffice. He wasn't too interested in being at the top, as it was firstly impossible, and secondly just too eye-catching. It would draw the ire and lust of his enemies. After experiencing what it was like in the past, he had determined that developing steadily in obscurity was the way to go. If the conditions were right, Li Luo wanted to achieve his goal quietly. He wanted to enter the Duke stage and hold on to his dear life. Furthermore, he only had 5 years left, and this acquired resonance was like a sword of Damocles hanging over him, always leaving him in anxiety and unrest. Whilst Li Luo was engrossed by Yu Lang's compiled information, the sky gradually turned dark. Jiao Qing'e wanted to grab a bite with him, but when he saw Li Luo's focused expression, he decided to leave him be. He snuck out by himself and planned to bring some food back for him. This information is quite comprehensive and full of useful insights. Li Luo, who had finally finished assimilating the information, let out a sigh of praise. After screening through this information, he had a better understanding of the numerous elite students from other academies and their abilities. Additionally, he could sincerely feel that Yu Lang had deliberately left out information on him to prevent anyone else from making preparations against him. Otherwise, he would have been able to write quite a comprehensive summary on him based on the information that was available, and not just leave that line of rubbish in. It seems I've truly made a mistake in thinking badly of Yu Lang, Li Luo muttered. At the same time, his stomach began to churn out rumbling sounds and he finally realized that the sky was already pitch black. Why is that guy Jiao Qing'e not back yet? Does he want me to starve to death and then get the entire dormitory for himself? Li Luo questioned. At this point, hurried knocks could be heard on the door. Yu Lang's voice could be heard coming from outside. Li Luo. Your friend Jiao Qing'e has been intercepted by some individuals. Li Luo opened the door with a frown. What are you talking about? Yu Lang shrugged his shoulders. That brat seems to have gotten into an altercation with people from Zenith Academy. The one leading the group is Zhong Fu. If you've read my information, you should know who he is. People from Zenith Academy? What are they trying to do? Li Luo asked in surprise. Well, Zhong Fu has deliberately shown himself. If I said that they are targeting Jiao Qing'e, I don't think you would believe me, Yu Lang grumbled. So they are targeting me? Li Luo asked with a pensive look on his face. They probably want to feel you out, Yu Lang explained. I've been keeping to myself this whole time. Just why? Li Luo was a little astonished at this development. This Zhong Fu guy was in the top 10. Why would he bother with small fry like him? It looks like he's being cautious, which totally seems to fit his character, Yu Lang explained. Li Luo was truly someone who held a low profile. His most outstanding achievement was being able to force a draw against Song Yunfeng. Well, since he dares to bully my brother, I don't care who he is. I won't take this lying down. Li Luo said furiously while walking out of his room. Yu Lang scratched his head. Judging by what Li Luo was saying, wasn't he simply being played like a fiddle by his enemies? At the White Spirit Garden's western side, a significantly large group had stopped to watch a commotion that was currently taking place, forming a blockade amidst the bustling crowd. In the sea of people, numerous Zenith Academy students had surrounded Jiao Qing'e, loudly arguing. Everyone else was watching in interest. What's going on? I heard someone from South Wind Academy molested a girl from Zenith Academy. Was it really that bad? Where is the girl? Where? HMPH. The girl was pretty ordinary. Are the people of South Wind Academy so thirsty that they set their grubby hands on every girl they see? In the midst of the raucous laughter, Jiao Qing'e was feeling extremely frustrated. His eyes were ablaze with fury as he physically bashed his way through the encirclement, immediately breaking out into a sprint after that. However, just as he started running, he could feel vigorous resonant power surging from behind him. A frigid palm was placed directly on his back, and the undulations of resonant power directly forced Jiao Qing'e's body to come to a halt, unable to move any further. He turned his head and saw an elegant and skinny youth. What are you trying to do? Zhong Fu replied with a wry smile, Brother, the situation has not been resolved. You need to get someone from South Wind Academy to give us an explanation about this. Are you trying to coerce me? Jiao Qing'e asked gloomily. Zhong Fu smiled. If Southwind Academy doesn't dispatch someone with enough face to provide an explanation, I will simply have to take matters into my own hands and fix you up. We need to provide an explanation to our fellow disciples after all. My ass. She looks even manlier than me, and I look like a bear. Who in the right mind would want to molest her? Jiao Qing'e fumed. Zhongfu ignored him, simply keeping him in place. The crowd who was watching the scene gradually grew in size. As the two continued to exchange verbal barbs, some movement could be seen in the crowd. Zhongfu's gaze lit up with excitement when he saw Li Luo stride in heroically. He really came. Zhongfu started celebrating internally. Now that Li Luo had appeared in person, he would be able to finally get an idea of how strong he really was. He would be able to determine if he was truly a wolf in sheep's clothing, or someone who was worthless. Whilst he was still relishing in happiness, he saw Li Luo immediately turning around to shout. "This way, supervisor. This bastard is clearly violating the rules, trying to start an unapproved fight. Quickly catch him and strip him of his right to participate in the final examinations." The smile on Zhongfu's face instantly froze and his joy was quenched by a figurative bucket of cold water. He immediately saw a teacher garbed in a supervisor's uniform standing there emotionlessly. F***ck, the originally refined and polished Zhongfu uttered an unimaginable vulgarity. He would never have thought that this young lord would act so lawfully. The past 2 days were filled with all sorts of scuffles in the White Spirit Garden as the numerous students competed against each other in secret. Yet no one would actually utilize the rules to solve their problems. Who had ever met someone who would run bawling to a teacher whenever there was conflict? Wasn't this just too shameless? This young lord was truly one that traveled the road less taken. Consternation showed on the faces of many of the students present. No one would have thought that the gallant rescuer Li Luo would bring a supervisor to the table. Damn, this young lord is an unreasonable one. What a coward. He wouldn't be afraid of Zhongfu, would he? A fight between students, and he actually went crying to the teacher. Right? But it does seem like the correct thing, right? Internal fighting is actually against the rules though. You're right, but, one of the spectators stammered. Of course, the one actually in the right was Li Luo. His decision to call the supervisor was faultless. But why did it just feel so wrong? As they stood around glumly, Zhongfu hurriedly let go of Jiao Qing'e, whose back he had been clinging firmly to. He then turned smilingly to the supervisor. "Mentor, we weren't fighting. Just playing." "You were clearly going to beat me up," Jiao Qing'e said. Zhongfu flushed as he retorted, "Impossible. Don't slander me." Li Luo stepped forth with an inviting smile. "Don't worry. Go ahead and speak your true mind. Bravely now." Zhongfu forced a smile. It was nothing. Nothing at all. The teacher sized up the situation and saw the girl from Zenith Academy, built like a bear. He pursed his lips. Couldn't find a better one to go for. Zhongfu was completely embarrassed. Zenith Academy had always been majority male. Female students were few and far between, and this junior sister was the only girl in their top 20, and she was beloved by all of them. 3 hours of standing punishment. 1 minute less and your dean can come and collect you, the supervisor said coldly. In truth, student fighting was rampant and they always shut an eye on the situation. But now that Li Luo had come to report it, they had no choice but to respond, or they would lose their jobs. The supervisor turned to leave after delivering the punishment. Low snickers came from the crowd, although it was uncertain who it was directed at. Zhongfu stood there, frustrated but afraid to move. Li Luo walked up to him and smiled. "Did you think I would be so easy to bully? Going after Jiao Qing'e to force me out?" Zhongfu stared at him and then sighed. "Others said the young lord was nothing to fear, but I feel that you were the dark horse of these examinations. I just wanted to test you." Li Luo was surprised. "You see me that highly?" Zhongfu nodded. "I know how terrifying Jiang Qing'e is. I don't believe her fiancé would be a good-for-nothing. You fought Jiang Qing'e before. One surprise after another. Zhong Fu's shoulders slumped. Fought my ass. She stared at me once, and my legs were already numb with fear. But Li Luo, seeing you so insistent on hiding your moves has got me very curious about what you are truly hiding. I look forward to your performance in the examinations. You'll know it when you see it. Li Luo smiled and clapped Zhong Fu on the shoulder. Well then, keep up the excellent standing form. I'm off to sleep. He turned and led Jiao Qing'e away, their departure followed by many odd glances from others. Zhong Fu watched them leave, screwing his mouth up with frustration. Something dawned on him. Damn, standing punishment means I can't attend Shi Huang's rendezvous. He wouldn't think I'm a traitor and not showing him face, right? A room, somewhere in the White Spirit Garden. Shi Huang greeted Xiong Liang and Kai Su with a warm smile, even pouring them tea himself as he spoke to them with great courtesy. The three chatted for a while. Kai Su frowned. Where's Zhong Fu, that fellow? Xiong Liang felt like something was off too. Zhong Fu did not seem like the kind of guy to show no interest in Shi Huang. He would definitely show up if he could. Shi Huang's smile did not reach the depths of the dark look in his eyes. Zhong Fu would not be slighting him, would he? Just then, there was a knock on the door, and someone entered to whisper into his ear. A look of surprise flitted across Shi Huang's face. He waved the person away, then turned back to the other two with a smile. It seems like Zhong Fu won't be able to make it tonight. Why not? Both Xiong Liang and Kai Su were surprised. He went to suss out Li Luo and ended up getting reported to the supervisor. His punishment was 3 hours of standing. There was an odd look on Shi Huang's face as he said this. Huh? Both Xiong Liang and Kai Su blurted simultaneously. They looked at each other, not sure whether to be amused or angry. Li Luo seems to play against expectations. Xiong Liang could not help but chuckle. To even go and tattle to the teacher, was he not afraid of being ridiculed? Perhaps he knew he was outclassed by Zhong Fu, so it was his only choice. Kai Su supplied. I already said, there's no need to test Li Luo. He's not the one to watch here. He doesn't warrant such caution. Xiong Liang clicked his tongue dismissively. Shi Huang said with good humor, Zhong Fu's caution is commendable. If met in the examinations, Li Luo should be dealt with, of course. Avoid any accidents later on. But he did not seem too bothered by this, instead turning the conversation to the main topic at hand. Although Zhong Fu is absent, our purpose today will not be delayed. We all share the same goal, to dethrone South Wind Academy from its prized seat as the best school in the Jiangsu province. And the strongest they have this year is Lu Qing'e. As long as we deal with her, South Wind Academy will lose its first-place title. At that time, the number of entrance slots allocated to them will drop as well. My suggestion is simple. In the final stage, we must work together to force Lu Qing'e out. Xiong Liang and Kai Su looked at each other. They both saw the doubt in the other's eyes. It is not easy to team up against Lu Qing'e. Given her strength, she should still be able to retreat safely. Besides, the final stage will be full of other strong opponents. If we focus too intensely on her, others may slip in and collect. Shi Huang smiled slightly. Everything has been arranged. You need only appear at the time and place that I have determined. The two were silent for a moment, then finally nodded. Then it will be as you say. South Wind Academy has led the Jiangsu province for too long. It is time the crown has a new bearer. Shi Huang's smile widened as he lifted his teacup. The three toasted each other. Well, then. Nice working with you. For the next 2 days, Li Luo was left alone, although he had to bear odd looks whenever he went out. Did he care? Of course not. It was nothing compared to what he had experienced over the last 2 years. White Spirit Garden, Wind Restaurant. Li Luo and Jiao Qing'e had come for a meal, but when they went up the stairs, they saw the hall packed to the brim with boisterous young men and women, and the roaring wave of chaos and laughter put them off. That's too many people, Jiao Qing'e murmured. Li Luo agreed. He had just turned to leave when he spotted someone in the distance waving to him from a seat near the window. He looked more closely. Lu Qing'e. Let's go get a free meal out of her. Li Luo did not hesitate, making a beeline for the table with Jiao Qing'e behind. But as he neared, he saw that Lu Qing'e's table was already seated with Differ Qing and Song Yunfeng. Feel free to join if you wish. There's space, Lu Qing'e said, gesturing at the empty seats with her delicately manicured finger. Differ Qing shot Li Luo a look, but this time it was not followed with her previous sneering. She sat in silence, drinking her water. It was Song Yunfeng who felt more up to his usual belligerence. He felt that they should know better. Instead, Li Luo planted his ass right beside him with a grateful cheer. All my dear schoolmates, what a sight for tired eyes. Jiao Qing'e joined him. Song Yunfeng's expression turned grim. He said sourly, Li Luo, I heard you got into trouble again. There are so many other schools here at the White Spirit Garden now, can you not ruin South Wind Academy's reputation? You're making things difficult for the other South Wind students. Li Luo matched his grim tone. If you feel ashamed about any of my actions so far, I suggest you quit school as soon as possible. This elicited a new wave of anger from Song Yunfeng, and also a slightly upward twitch of Lu Qing'e's lips. Song Yunfeng scoffed. Who are you to tell me to leave school, Li Luo? I'm saying this for your own good. Don't think you can go around causing offense to other schools just because of that one draw. You clearly know best how meaningless that was. However, Li Luo seemed not to hear him, instead turning to Lu Qing'e, who was hailing over a waiter. Help us order a meal, thanks. Lu Qing'e did not reply, but she added 2 decent meals to the order when the waiter came. This infuriated Song Yunfeng even more, the flames of jealousy burning strongly within him. He had never dared to speak to Lu Qing'e in such a casual fashion before, but this bastard Li Luo had done so while ignoring him. The examinations start tomorrow. Are you all prepared? Lu Qing'e asked, not intending to listen to them sniping at each other anymore. They all nodded, then the topic was smoothly changed. Li Luo did not participate much, concentrating on his meal. But halfway through their meal, he sensed the atmosphere change drastically. He looked in the direction of the change. Someone was approaching. It was a nondescript-looking youth, but the aura he gave off was tyrannic, a cold, cruel air that juxtaposed jarringly against the warm smile on his face. Everyone took him seriously. East Pool Academy, Shi Huang, son of Governor Shi Qing. After Shi Huang made his way up the stairs, he headed straight for their position, and asked with a smile, "Excuse me, may I draw up a chair?" Lu Qing'e's eyes flicked up briefly, then she replied coolly, "Sorry, we're full." Still smiling, Shi Huang took a chair from the adjacent table, who did not dare to object. They recognized him. Shi Huang sat on the other side of Song Yunfeng. "Qing'e, our fathers are acquaintances. Surely there's no need to be so frosty. And we are rivals. Surely there's no need to fake any amiability. Tiring, isn't it?" Lu Qing'e countered. Shi Huang gave a tight smile. "Both of us are destined to meet in the Astral Sage College. We'll be peers there. Why the animosity? Isn't that right, Yunfeng?" He directed the question sideways. Song Yunfeng nodded quietly. Li Luo was happy with his meal. He put down his bowl and chopsticks, turning to Lu Qing'e. "Done eating? How about a walk for digestion?" The tension in Lu Qing'e's neck eased slightly. She knew that Li Luo was helping her defuse the situation. She didn't want to hang around fencing with Shi Huang either. Shi Huang's eyes narrowed. He picked up a broad bean and flicked it with his fingers with a loud crack. It shot forth like lightning, a silver streak aimed straight for Li Luo's face. But just before it landed, an ice-infused chopstick crashed into the lightning-charged broad bean, sending it flying and burying itself deep within a pillar. A small ring of frost covered it. Lu Qing'e looked at Shi Huang coldly, and her frosty aura seemed to swell. "Shi Huang, stop picking fights." The commotion here had stirred up the hall as well. Furtive glances were being thrown their way. When the crowd saw that it was Lu Qing'e and Shi Huang, they were immediately excited. Could it be that the first place hot favorites were going to duke it out here? Sensing the crowd's attention, Xia Huang smiled. A slip of the hand. I hope you don't take offense, young lord. Li Luo shook his head, saying exasperatedly, I'm not angry, but you're wasting food. It seems like you haven't been taught well at home. Has Governor Xia not been teaching you properly? If your house is lacking whips, I can send 2 over. Xia Huang's smile did not falter. The young lord is exactly right. I will be more careful next time. Recognize your mistakes and change. That's a good boy. Li Luo nodded approvingly, then left with Jiang Qing'e. Lu Qing'e shot one more frosty look at Xia Huang and then left as well, Differ Qing scurrying in her wake. Song Yunfeng gave Xia Huang a long look and followed. Xia Huang sat down, unperturbed. He scooped up the few remaining broad beans on the table and threw them into his mouth with quick movements, his eyes cold and calculating. This Li Luo. Is he hiding his power? Or is he truly powerless? I really want to find out, he mused to himself, shaking his head with a wry smile. Forget it. A crippled young lord should pose little threat to him. Lu Qing'e was the key to toppling South Wind Academy from their first-place title. Still, Li Luo was quite a detestable guy indeed. Seemed like he would have to make some arrangements for his early elimination. This video will end here.